What faction should you use him in? What artifact is going to be better for him? Why do I have so much rage regen on my build on him? How do you want to play him? Some tricks for timing, some team comps. And I will have everything covered. Why is his A1 so valuable if you have the right gear for Semrah as well? This video is gonna be packed, guys, with information, loaded with information. There's a reason why you guys had to wait for some time for me to finally upload that Kigiri video, because yeah, this was a lot of research, a lot of testing, but you will have every single detail, every single interaction that you need to know about Kigiri after watching this video. With that said, what's up everyone, Ronaldo here, and welcome. Now let's go right into Kigiri. And first, I think for everyone who's new, who doesn't know about his kit, we're gonna go over his kit. Afterwards, we're gonna go over my testing results. So you can skip ahead if you already know about what he does. Timestamps will be done, of course. So let's go over the kit for everyone not aware of what this Madland does already. He's a menace. He's a menace. He's a fighter, dual faction fighter for Watcher and Nightmare. Watcher especially amazing to have a fighter in there as well. And he's limited, right? So what does he do? He basically has his passive. And that is, he launches a super strong long-range attack in a huge range, basically, every 40 seconds. Each time a basic attack deals damage, it reduces the cooldown of that by 1 second. The AoE damage of this strike and Ember Strike inflicts bleed. The additional damage ignores 50% defense and dispels 1 buff. So this is his bread and butter, and this is also his ultimate. Basically every 40 seconds he just goes into this dance. I can showcase you guys this real quick. This is what they mean. Every 40 seconds he's gonna just charge, not charge up, but he's gonna just dash. Come on, show me. Show me. There we go. He's gonna dash forward, dash back, and deal a bunch of damage. Inflict bleed, ignore some of the defense, and dispel a buff. So the buff dispel especially good for Guild Boss 2, and the bleed as well for boss killing, so forth. And this can be reduced with attack speed, right, with more attacks coming in, and also with the Watcher faction's bonus attacks. You already see where we're going with this. Then his ultimate is basically, he does this attack as well. He does just like that, the attack. He charges his up for 8 seconds, and if he gets hit during these 8 seconds, he's gonna charge it. And if he gets hit within 3 seconds of his charge, he's gonna get the empowered version of his sweeping strike. So the sweeping strike, 180% AoE damage, and then 480% damage to one of the enemies, whereas the empowered one will be 240 plus 480. So you have a little bit of a difference. If you time your counter perfectly, you're gonna deal more damage as well. So in terms of playing him out, there is quite a few benefits to it. Then we have his auto attack. It's nothing special, just a 1 tile range auto attack. Makes sense because he wants to get attacked, right, with his ultimate. Talking about the stats, actually, 1 tile range, and his stats are gonna be good amount of HP and good amount of attack. Now the attack for a fighter is good, right? It's not crazy high, but it's not really low. 6,400. Fighters usually have higher base stats, and you can see that on him as well, especially Nightmare ones. He has more than Lust, he has more than Arrogance base stats. And then he has Flow State. Parrying during Tranquil Reflection, this is his ultimate. Increases attack for 30% for 10 seconds. So he increases his own attack by a good amount after parrying an attack with his ult. Then on top of that, when he ults or gets his talent procced, he has a chance of 25% to basically just do the launch again into the opposite direction and strike again with that heavy blow that he does. So reading from the kit, you can already see a few things, and that is, first, he is gonna be very punishing for not perfect timings, but very rewarding for good timings, right? You have bonus damage for good timings. We have bonus attack for good timings, because if you don't time it well, he's just gonna sit there for 8 seconds with his sword in hand, not gonna attack and wait. Whereas he could be attacking during these 8 seconds usually, right? And then you have these big RNG factors like this as well in his kit in terms of damage output. Now for longer fights, if the auto fights were consistent, that wouldn't make a difference, but because of how auto fights work, that can screw up with the timings. Now knowing his kit, I think we go over the awakenings and what I can tell you guys about the testing from the awakenings, the damage numbers that we get from the awakenings. I think these are quite important, actually, quite important. So basically, do I have it? So you can. So this is it from a random test already from his awakenings. So let's see what his awakenings do and why they, especially day 1, is going to be a massive thing. Massive thing if you can make use of it. When launching basic attack, restores 3 rage and 3% HP. So it makes him self-sufficient. Amazing, because he already can block some damage. That A1 screams amazing for outside of Semrah use cases. And the big thing is the 3 rage for Semrah is massive. It is massive, as we will get into afterwards. Then attack is nice. Then this one is nice, very nice as well. Within 10 seconds after sweeping strike is activated, each direct damage dealt inflicts additional damage 1 time equal to 35% of the direct damage. Within 10 seconds of Amber Strike is activated, each direct damage dealt inflicts additional damage 2 times each time of equal 25% damage. So just a massive steroid whenever he uses Sweeping Strike or Amber Strike, so talent or ult. Basically a massive damage steroid from his A3 again. Penetration, always nice to have. And boom, another massive steroid again. Because when he launches one of his hard hits, the swallow counter, the passive that had a 25% chance to trigger his hit again on the back way, has a 100% chance, from 25 to 100%, increasing his damage by a large margin again. Now this is from an old test, and I think these could actually get even higher. These could go even higher. A5 deals 160% damage of his A0, but I think that could even be bigger. That difference could even be bigger because of his A1, and something that I noticed during the testing, that if you build him the way I will show you after, his A1 could actually be already on its own a massive damage story. So let's go into what I mean. A1 Kigiri goes hard here. This is what I mean. Basically, in Aegis mode is really where I'm talking about here, because in Aegis mode, Kigiri's damage output, right? Or not Kigiri's damage output. Semrah hits every now and then. He hits every now and then, and therefore he has a relatively quick attack interval, Semrah, right? So every second attack you can use Kigiri's ultimate. But if you, as you can see, 95% ready when his charge is coming in. If you're having enough rage regen, enough rage regenerators, here in this run, for example, I had many rage regenerators. Lust, Leia, and Eloin. But if you have such uses, right, such help for the rage, that can mean one thing and one thing only, and that is the rage that he gets from everything plus his A1 will make it that he will be able to parry every attack in here, making his damage ramp up quite a significant margin. So that is something that I just thought I'd like to get out for you guys. So with that said, let's go into the build. Let's go into the build, and then we will continue with the artifact. We will continue with Nightmare or Watchers. We will continue with his interaction with Lust, that you should actually have some intel as well about. And then we go over the Guild Boss 2 showcase with the timings and final thoughts of Kigiri. Let's continue here. A lot to cover, a lot to cover. Let's go into the gear that I've used. Now this is the gear I've used for some testing, and as you can see, we have a lot of attack on him, and attack interval could be a bit lower, but we have very good gear. We have very good gear here, and bunch of rage regen here, as you can see. Now this is triple attack. This is triple attack here on the left hand side, and I've tried to go with double attack and crit damage, as we can see here. Now he has a high base attack, and as you can see here, he's still above 21k attack. And then we can go to where is it? Where is it? Here? Yeah, the triple attack was able to outperform him over the double attack slightly, just slightly. It was able to outperform the double attack pieces on the normal attacks. Being it, we can actually go more in depth, right? Triple attack, his normal attack with inspiration buff, 96k. His normal attack with inspiration double attack, 86k. His no inspiration normal attack, 40k. No inspiration, 40k, and then 109k inspiration after parry and 111k inspiration after parry. Overall, the triple attack performed slightly better in terms of the normal attacks, but there's something that we need to consider here. First up, we have a lot of crit damage here from the Annihilation Might, so that's something, right? Instead of that, if we would use a Warlord set, we might actually overspec into attack damage over compared to crit damage. And the reason why I'm saying this, I believe you saw that difference right there. The difference is not going to be that massive if we take a look here. If you would put a Warlord set here and go double attack here, he would still have quite a lot of attack with his high base attack, or just good base attack, really. So wait, let's put this attack back on real quick. Where was his piece? I think that one was it. Yeah, he would still have a quite high base attack on him, and the reason why I'm saying double attack could work just as well, even though from the testing I've done, the triple attack work better with this type of gear. You have to consider a few things here, and the first is going to be if you go to the skills, where is it? Inflicts the additional damage, ignores 50% defense. So the big damage sweep that comes in is actually not relying that much on having high attack as the normal attacks, because it already ignores 50% of the defense. Now compare that with the fact if you use a Nightmare Lord, aka Torodor, if you use him in a Nightmare team, not a Watcher team, if you use him in a Nightmare team, you will have from Torodor defense shred on the boss as well, meaning you can get away with less attack. Therefore, for the gear itself, I'd say you should go for Soulbound Arcana, and he is built like your average show DPS, just a rage gen we're gonna get into after, with either double attack or triple attack. And then if you use double attack, you should go for a Warlord set here. Reason why I'm saying this is because there is not enough data yet, right? I can't do data testing for thousands of people to really see exactly the perfect stats. But what I can tell you guys is these two are kind of your approach, and you want to have some attack speed and rage regen for that A1 that I just showed you, to try to get 2 ultimates out back to back in the Aegis mode, just to amp his damage by a good margin. Then what I also did is test him with his own artifact compared to a Wailing Skull. So own artifact compared to maxed out Wailing Skull. And let me see, where do we have that here? Guild Boss 2, Auto Ults, Kigiri, Watcher Team, exclusive artifact level 10. 50 million. Wailing Skull, 64 million. Exactly, there we go. So basically, Wailing Skull has the higher damage against Guild Boss 1 here. Oh, we see multiple stuff here. But this is on auto ults. Meaning on auto ults, Kigiri's damage falls down anyways compared to on manual ults. Therefore, you should consider, therefore, the value you get from his own artifact is going to be not as high as the Wailing Skull, because his own artifact amplifies his damage by a large margin, while the Wailing Skull itself already deals a lot of damage by itself. So therefore, if you have his own artifact, but if you have a bunch of awakenings on him, the more awakenings and the stronger your Kigiri is, the stronger his own artifact gets in comparison to Wailing Skull. And I think we can even see that as well here. Kigiri timed ult Wailing Skull, 80 million. Kigiri timed ults exclusive. There we go. As you can see, when we timed our ults, the big difference from the auto fights as well, massive difference from the auto fights. All of a sudden his exclusive becomes better. So that is it for you guys in terms of the artifact. So this is something to note as well. And then, since we're at it already, should we go for a Watcher team for Kigiri? Should we go for a Nightmare team for Kigiri? And there's a few answers that I have for you guys. First up, it depends on your roster. If you have the better Watcher roster and your Nightmare team is not good, you're gonna go for Nightmare. If you have a good Nightmare roster but not a good Watcher roster, you're gonna go for Nightmare. But what if you have a good Watcher roster and a good Nightmare roster? Well, I've made a few discoveries that actually, yeah, they surprised me. They surprised me a lot. Let me put it this way. They surprised me a lot. Because theoretically, my thought was simple. And that was that if I'm going to use Kigiri with a Nightmare team, he's gonna get his ults faster thanks to Lust. He's gonna get more sweeping strikes because he reduces the cooldown of it faster because of his double attacks from the Torodor as his lord. And therefore he should theoretically be able to get more damage out in the Nightmare team, right? That's at least what I thought. Now, testing wise, we have one thing to see here, and that is I tested him Torodor against Ingrid Lord bonus. That Ingrid Lord bonus, well, it's pretty disgustingly high. It's pretty disgustingly high, and it makes up for all the bonuses he gets from being in the Nightmare team actually. So if we take a look here at but there's a few conditions where Nightmare is still better. Hold up, it's quite complicated. So for Nightmare, Kigiri, auto ults, exclusive, Guild Boss. Wait, I need to close all of these so we don't confuse anything. So for Nightmare units, Kigiri, there we go. Whereas he has 5 Watcher units on auto. This is on auto, both on auto. As you can see here, with the Watcher, somehow he managed to outperform. Somehow he managed to outperform when compared to his counterpart when he was in the Nightmare team. Interesting. Now, there is one big caveat to that though, a big one actually. And that is, if you're in a similar position as I am, if we go and take a look here, my team, I will use a Watcher / Nightmare team. I will use a Watcher / Nightmare team. And the thing is, these are my units here. And you could, right? You could go for something like this. But generally speaking, why would you go for something like this if you could put someone like him in here as well? And therefore, you kind of want, even though he could actually perform very well with the Watchers, you want him to put in to the Nightmare faction if you run exactly this Nightmare lineup of these 4 units, because this way he will be the 4th Nightmare unit that you need, that you want to have on your lineup. without having to have a filler nightmare unit that doesn't do much, right? You really want to have 4 nightmare units to get the full buff for the nightmare council lord. Whereas if you're not gonna have him here and you're gonna get a slightly stronger watcher bonus, you're gonna have to sacrifice quite a bit on your nightmare bonus. So therefore, I would recommend you still, even though he can perform very well with the watchers in the nightmare team for most cases, if you have both at your disposal. Now there is another caveat that you need to consider with the nightmare, and this is something like I said before, and that is if you have him on nightmare and he gets that rage, like we said, let's go back to the skill shot. He will be able to time his ultimates quicker. 95%, he has a chance to get hit by the lust, and if you build him with enough everything and you have a lot of rage regen, maybe probably A1 is needed for that to be decently viable, and there are quite a lot of caveats to be able to do that. Alright, Ronaldo from the future here real quick. For the guys that might be thinking, okay, so which faction now? Basically what I'm saying and what you're going to see is the extra rage regen from being in the Nightmare Council, because he has then more attack speed and he has chances for double hits, being able to regenerate more rage faster, will make it that he might, with the right conditions, with the right supports and with the right gear, be able to get double hits out of him. So in isolation, in terms of his damage, if you're able to get these double hits, you're gonna see it in the videos, in the showcase, in the how to play him, right? If you're able to get his ultimate fast enough, right, with your supporters, with the rage regen you have, the nightmares will be better because they will help you get that rage regen in time. Now, if you're only going to get enough rage for 1 ult every second attack of Semrah during poison and shield stage, then in isolation, Kigiri would deal more damage with a Ingrid. But like I said, because Arrogance and Lust profit so much from having 4 nightmares, generally speaking, most of the time you just want to have him as your 4th nightmare unit, as I don't think anyone else is worth that spot really at this point. Maybe when Twyla comes out, she can put in there and he can put in into Watcher. Now about the ult timings, like I said, you'll see it, and then about the last interaction, I'll go over it right now, but I also have something additional to that testing that I'll show you, or that little interaction that I'm gonna talk about with you guys, and that is the last rage regen that he's gonna get. You don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about him getting a rage, him being in Watcher or in Nightmare Council. As you saw, he is now in the Watcher faction with a Watcher Lord and now with a Nightmare Lord, and he still gets that rage regen from a Lust. So in terms of Lord bonus for the Lust rage regen, that doesn't really matter, that doesn't account. But it's just that he gets some more rage from having more attack speed in the Nightmare Council, right? And then now, talking about the Lust, I want to go over Lust itself and his synergy with her, and people what people have been thinking about how she hits him and then he parries and everything. So basically, as we all know, Lust is a bit of a sadist, right? She has a 15% chance to attack allies instead, and she hits 2 times outside of her ult and 4 times during her ult. So a double attack, she has basically a 30% chance, a 30% chance to hit an ally. Now with normal gear, she has a 1.4 second interval, a 1.4 second interval, and then you have a 30% chance. Let's just do this like that. What am I doing? So you have a 1.4 second interval. You have a 30% chance, right? So every 4.5 seconds, she's gonna hit an ally of hers outside of her ult. During her ult, this is gonna be cut in half. That means if you get unlucky, right, she's not gonna hit Kigiri once during his ultimate, and he's just gonna be in his state for 8 seconds without her hitting him and enabling him to ult quicker. So that whole Kigiri Lust interaction, it's not reliable, it's not that consistent. So that is something that I want to mention in terms of that, right? It's not going to be that consistent to proc his ult. It helps him to maybe get lucky hit from Lust and therefore get his ult quicker, especially when she's in her ult and you pop his ult. The chances of her hitting him relatively quickly just double immediately. And the interaction is, like I said, he's going to stand 8 seconds, but if Lust hits him, he's going to start attacking, and that's the interaction that you should consider as well for your fights. He has good synergy with Lust, but it's something that you should consider as well. Is the math behind it, and also the rage regen that you can get with her as well is nice. Now outside of that, right, we went over most of the things already, and I think we should just go take a look at his fight, at a fight real quick, and see how he performs. So everyone's A1, and I want to showcase you really his timings and everything, and let's go right into it. So let's go right into the placements and how you want to time his ultimates and everything. So basically this is gonna be by no means some high score test or anything. I'm not gonna try to reach some insane levels of score or anything, right? I'm just gonna showcase you how he works, how you want to place him, how you're gonna use him. And let's just put down everyone and how he squares up in comparison to some of these other DPS heroes. So we're gonna use that Lust here on front side, and then have him sack, sack, sack. And now we can already, as you can see, the hand comes in, you pop his ult, and he immediately gets a large margin of damage. Immediately, as you can see, his ult just went and did all of his damage all of a sudden, and now during that time, now the rest of his team is starting to creep up again. Now if we take a look here, we can just do this, get his ult up, and now let's see here again, look at the damage graph. You pop his ult, bam, immediately look at this, 4 or 5 million damage after his ult of immediate burst, and then the rest again starts to creep up after his ult again, right, as you can see. And the good thing is he provides a lot, right? He provides the bleed, and then you have a lot of debuffs going for you. And now we can just close that real quick. And yeah, like I said, this isn't by no means going to be a high score. This is just going to be for you guys to see how he works and to see how much damage he does in comparison. So now he's earth shattering, right? We're going to pop the Kigiri, and we're going to pop the layout region as well. And here we're going to see exactly how fast his ult is going to be up. We had during the whole time the Lust ultimate active to try to hit him as many times as possible to get his ult up. Can we get his ult? There we go. We got his ult in time. That's what I meant. This is why I think Lust is great for it. And you can just pop his ult back to back immediately. Get another Kigiri ultimate out without him getting hit once. And this is mainly for the Aegis stage, right? This is mainly for the Aegis stage. And as you can see, these shields, they never last long. They will always disappear. The boss will be always at 0 shields. And we will have to see how he's going to perform in... and now, let's see exactly. We're going to have to see how he's going to perform and how many shields he's going to put up in Epoch 2. But let's see now, right? Lust. Let's see if she hits Kigiri during his ultimate, while Lust is kinda in her ultimate, right? She has more attack speed. Let's see how long it takes for her to get to Kigiri. So he's already channeling for 4 seconds already, and now she hit him, boom, and he gets a good chunk of damage. So there you can see kinda the synergy for her enabling Kigiri to use his ultimate even earlier, even though he's not really getting hit that swiftly. And now we can see here for the Venom stage, we're gonna just cleanse again, of course, and then we're gonna see pop his ult. He's gonna get a charge again, and you can just cycle it, right? And let's go for the harder stages so you can see more in depth with the timings and everything how it plays out. So let's see again, how long does he take until he gets hit by Lust? Does it take the full duration? Looks like it. Full duration, that's what I meant when I said, as you see here, it took him the full duration of the fight to get hit by the Lust. And then you're just gonna do this, and we will now, as you can see, this is kind of suboptimal here from my side, right? We kind of would have loved to use his ult for that, but just for the sake of showing him with Lust, I just popped this ult randomly, or just immediately. And again, this is what I meant. Lust ult is active, but she hasn't hit him once during this 8 seconds, and he just stood there for 8 seconds doing nothing, as you can see here. So the chances of him doing stuff are far from 100%, right? Are far from 100%, that synergy. It's just the rage regen that is nice as well, and it is a slight gamble that you're gonna go. So now let's see how many ult cycles he can get out during this saw stage, or maybe we're just too early in the saw stage as well to just one-shot it again. So we're just popping his ult, right? He's gonna rinse everything down. We can use his Fersi as well. And what you saw earlier as well is that his ultimate deals insane amounts of damage, right? We saw when he ulted at the same timing as Consta's ult was active, he just gained like 5 million damage out of nowhere, right? You saw that. So now we will have to see here. Boom, again, he goes the full length, he goes the full distance until he ults. So therefore you kinda don't really want to rely on that Lust. This is what I was saying earlier. You kinda, it's hard to say, oh, you should rely on the Lust, right? You should most definitely try to get the timings right on Kigiri. So we get that one buff here, and let's see. Zack got his ult out. No buff here again for him. Gonna just run this real quick, speed it up for the harder stages. Earth Shatter, we've seen here this stage already. He can just with this combination here of units, with that amount of rage regen that he has, ult every attack. If you have enough rage regen, if you have Lust, the likes of Leia, the likes of Eloin, he's getting the job done. Now if you don't have Leia, you might as well need A1. As you can see here, we even needed A1 for this. We were at 98% here because we didn't have Leia bonus here for that. And again, he goes the full distance with his ultimate. So that about the Lust interaction. So now we just break it. We're gonna run it and see with the ult timings now on the poison stage. Now the poison stage, which is interesting, is, as you're gonna see here, is he's not gonna poison often. He's not gonna attack often. He poisons, right? He poisons again. Let's see. And now he finally attacks. He finally attacks. We get the counter during the constants. This means we got a lot of damage out. And then again, he's gonna go do some venoms here, right? You have a lot of time. And then you should basically have that ult up again. Perfect. And as you can see, you should really you should really see from that already here, and also from the other ones, that if you have enough rage regen, he's gonna perform exceptionally well, because you can just time his ults perfectly on a manual run. Now on an auto run, he's gonna be absolutely losing it. He's gonna be losing it. He's gonna be out, right? He's out of it. He's not timing everything properly at all. But as you can see here, with a Lust, this is why I said earlier, with a Lust instead of a maybe I should pop some ultimates, shouldn't I? With a Lust instead of the Watcher team, sure, he's getting that extra rage regen, right? He's getting that extra rage regen to really be able to cycle his ultimates perfectly with the Semrah. And if you have the A1, it makes it a lot easier. This is why I said A1 is massive. I think A1 is massive for this. But I think you already kind of saw how it works, right? You saw how he can cycle. And let's just go skip to the end and see his damage compared to the other DPS in that fight by the end of the fight. So I'll be back. Alright guys, it's late at night, but I'm back. When I was talking too much, forgot to activate my Nazim's ultimate. So I thought in the end you kind of want to see a damage comparison in a longer run. So I'm just gonna let this run through. You can skip to the end if you just want to see the damage results, or you can just watch the fight, how it's gonna play out. Really, it's up to you really. So enjoy. Right, this is kind of where Kigiri starts to shine really, right? We saw the beginning. Now I want to showcase you right his strength, and that is that Aegis mode here. And as you can see, we're zooming through it without any issues. It makes this mode so much easier in terms of the damage you eat, in terms of everything, in terms of his shields. If you take a look here, he has one shield up, right? We're at the 70k mark, and he is just not gonna get it through, right? We're gonna pop his ultimate. There we go. And then he's got, again, he's only ever gonna have a max of one shield. And we still have a lot of time left here for this mode. It's basically as if there were no obstacles at all for this mode, because he's not gonna get anything done here. It's simple as that really. If you take a look here, he's now got 2 and boom, immediately gone right after, right? So he, with some luck, Semrah, with some luck, you got away getting 2. But as you can see here, it truly, yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. it truly is not an issue at all, right? You don't take any damage. You don't take yeah, you don't really take longer for this stage either, because he's not getting all of these resistances that he usually would get. So yeah, that was just a quick interruption. Let's get going. Now, kind of crazy how my Nazim died when he had 11 stacks on himself. 11 damage reduction stacks. That seemed a bit iffy, because Nazim had 30 KHP. Well, it doesn't matter. Run is over pretty much here. Let's see the damage dealt here, right? We're gonna have Kigiri survive for a bit now, but we don't want to have his damage numbers inflated at all, because now he's just gonna hit while everyone else is not gonna hit, which wouldn't be fair for the other DPS. So we're gonna take him out and see his damage compared to the other ones. Now this is by no means, right? By no means perfect run. This is by no means the perfect timings. You saw me sometimes shaking the head, missed some timings with the Kigiri as well. And with the A1 it would be easier to get these perfect timings on his ultimate as well, right? I'm using this on an A0 tech here. Everyone A0. Other than the Idril, and the Idril was higher. But this was just to see how he works, right? And you can see a comparison in his damage output compared to the other ones at A0 here. And I think A5 you already seen, he's gonna be cracked. A1 is gonna be very strong as well. A3 as well. He has very good awakenings. So let's see here. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. That is actually very strong. 200 million damage for Kigiri. Now keep in mind that Idril is the only one with awakenings. That Idril has 3 awakenings. Now the other ones are at A0, and also keep in mind, right, they all run different gear. But you can already clearly see he hits hard. You have to imagine that he, with his bleed, increased the damage of Arrogance and Lust as well. Plus he was our 4th Nightmare unit, who was very good for that fight, completing our Nightmare team here. And you saw he made the shield phase a piece of cake, really. So my final verdict, now after all that testing and what I figured out, right, on the Semrah testing, is that if you're able to get his ultimate, to have enough rage regeneration, to have his ultimate up on every single attack on Semrah from Aegis mode and poison mode, not only will you have a lot more damage through these modes, especially for poison mode is where it matters a lot, because you want to get out of this as quickly as possible. Aegis mode is not going to be a problem anyways, because he solves that already. He's going to be massive. Now the thing is, I have a lot of rage regen, and I had a Leia here as well for him to get even more rage regen, to be able to actually have that on him. Now of course this was at A0. Now at A1 you can have it a lot more reliable, right? Because you will be able to get 3 rage per auto hit restored, and you will have therefore more rage faster, and his ult back up faster, and be able to cycle his ult better. Now what I would recommend you guys though, is before you go for A1, because you saw that video, that it's very close with the ult cycles, right? and you just want to get his A1 because you just saw that, I would say make sure to gear him up, go into your fight and see how close your Kigiri gets to get his ult up every time, because you have to imagine this was with a Leia, right? I'm blessed on my account, I have a Leia, but many won't have one. She's the rarest lord in the game. Same goes for Last as well. I used him in conjunction with the Nightmare Council faction and the Lust. So the Lust, because he's a Nightmare unit in the night, if you use him in there, right? In the he's gonna be having more rage from her as well. On top of that, because he's a Nightmare unit, again, he will have the chance to get double hits, and through these double hits regenerate even more rage. And therefore, I think the Nightmare faction will actually be way better than the Watcher faction if you can make him work, that he will be able to parry every single attack on Aegis mode and Poison mode. Unlike I said earlier with the testing, right? Now, sure, the damage testing, the initial damage testing showed that Watcher, he did a bit more damage. But the thing is, on that initial damage testing, it was done on Guild Boss 1. But here on Semrah, that's a game changer. That's something I realized now, right? If you're able to get these ultimates out every time, he's going to be dealing a lot more damage. And the Watcher, the Nightmare faction will allow him to do that more easily. With that said though, I think he's very strong. That's my verdict for sure. You saw it all, right? Not only like he provides so many things at once. He provides the cleansing of dispelling of the buff, which is already something that would make him viable for Guild Boss at the current meta, current state of the Guild Boss. That will already make him viable. But not only that, he is actually a top heavy hitter, just like Lucius is. He's a heavy hitter. But on top of that, he's a ground tile unit, and top of that he has bleed, and bleed increases the damage of your allies as well, right? Of your lusts, of your arrogances as well, and gives them more damage as well. And the factions, everything lines up for him. Generally speaking, he's amazing. This is gonna be my verdict. Now, I don't think anyone expected anything else. Now, if you've watched until this point, you just might as well subscribe. This was a lot of work, this video, a lot of testing. I try to really cover every single detail, so you have the best knowledge, all the knowledge you need to make the best out of your Kigiris. So I'd appreciate your support. And with that said, much love, good luck on your summons, and I'm out. Peace!